Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another YouTube video. We're going to get straight into it. It's an XRP Ripple video and why I think the Indian CBDC we built on the XRP ledger, or could be. This is a big thread from my Twitter, so if you don't already follow me on Twitter, go and follow me. It's at Crypto Insight UK. I know a lot of people don't like reading here, so I'm going to read it out for you. But if you do, it's probably worth checking out the thread because there's a lot of hyperlinks in there as well that can take you to extra information. And yeah, it took me literally all day, so I hope you enjoy. If you do, please share it with a friend. Drop a sub, drop a comment in the comments to let me know what you thought of the video. And if you follow me on Twitter, please give this a retweet. It took me a long time. As I said, I'm going to get into it. So, why do I think India's CBDC we built on the XRP ledger? Let's have a look. So the first thing's a small little quote from an article that they wrote for the Indian government, actually. The path forward for digital assets adoption in India, a policy perspective, the state of play of digital assets globally, and recommendations for Indian policymakers from June 2020. So obviously India was on their radar then to do with policy, and we know that India have been flip-flopping with policy, to say the least, very recently. And I touched on India in my newsletter this week and tipped a crypto for everybody in there to do with India. There's a tip for you, hint, if you don't already sign up to the newsletter. So, we're going to start with something that a lot of you probably don't know. One of Ripple's original ideas was to give XRP away to every person in India, but they basically didn't do it because they tried to find better ways to do it because they didn't want to give away 2 billion XRP. But you obviously can see already how important India was to Ripple as a market, or is to Ripple as a market, if they were considering giving away 2 billion of their supply. Their next thoughts, this from Ashish Butler, and there's some quotes here if you want to read it. This is from Ashish Butler. Also, guys, I'm sorry if you can hear next door because the walls are paper thin. Their thoughts from Ashish Butler again: go after the top 3 commercial banks in India and you get 80% of the market share. And then they talk about XRapid in this, and XRapid is now ODL. They took mobile banking in 2018, and their pipeline said probably 50% of the Indian market. So they essentially talk in this little clip here about trying to get the commercial banks onto using Xcurrent, and then obviously Xcurrent now ODL. And let's see if they achieved their goal. So this leads to the question, what did they achieve? Well, they seem to have signed a deal with Federal Bank of India for a new cross-border payment system. Reserve Bank, the Federal Bank of India has 671 branches. Here it is. It was on the 29th of March. This is in 2015? Yeah, no, sorry, this is in 2019 that they sold this. They signed this deal with Federal Bank in India. Next up, we have Axis Bank. Axis actually have a 3-page PDF about the Ripple Axis partnership. It's the 3rd largest private sector bank in India and covers large mid-corporations, SMEs, agriculture, retail businesses with 3,485 domestic branches and 14,000 ATMs across the country. This was signed in November 2017, basically saying that they're using Ripple's blockchain solution for payments. Ripple makes international remittances faster and transparent for customers while ensuring security, improving efficiencies. The transactions reach their destination account in minutes with certainty of settlement and with end-to-end visibility for the journey of payment. So next we have Kotak Mahindra Bank with over 1,300 branches. Kotak will use Xcurrent to power instant remittances, and Xcurrent at the time doesn't leverage XRP, just to be clear on that. That's like Ripple's payment system. In general, they're like interbank messaging system. But this is from 2018, so that's now 4 years ago. And as Ripple say, if you listen to Brad Gardenhouse speak, first they implement RippleNet and then they try and roll out XRP. When they show that they can save money with RippleNet, they show how much more they can save by leveraging the digital asset. So there's 3 huge banks there: Axis, Federal Bank, and then Kotak Bank. Now we've addressed Ripple's goals with domestic banks, I think it's time we move on to speculate about their central bank. Their CBDC is coming out at the end of this financial year. Why/how are Ripple and the XRP ledger involved? This is where we get speculative, but bear with me. So there's obviously that image from the Digital Pound Foundation talking about that the Central Bank of India want to roll out a potential CBDC by the end of this financial year, which I think is a massive, massive goal. But India could do it if anyone's going to do it, in my opinion, because they're so forward-looking with technology, data's cheap, young population, all these sorts of things. So they're now looking for staff partner, engineers, risk managers, central bank partners and digital solution directors. This is Ripple job search, basically. They had some interesting positions open in Ripple back in early June. This was actually a screenshot from a previous video that I did on YouTube, saying that there was a partner digital solution for central banks and a senior project manager for central banks, which are not open anymore. There's 2 of those positions are no longer open, so they must have been filled, and that tells me someone's working with the central bank in India. And there are these positions, obviously, that I talked about, still open with the central bank, so staff partner engineer of compliance, risk manager, and central bank partner, but the actual project manager and other partner solution for central banks is no longer open. So if there are more positions opening, they obviously are expanding their team, but some of the previous positions are already gone, so they've got to be working with the central bank in some way, in my opinion. Ripple also wrote a document suggesting safe and innovative ways to regulate crypto in India. We talked about this above, but this is a more in-depth version. And let's not forget, Ripple have their own CBDC white paper, and countries run trials on the private CBDC ledger within the XRPL. We saw a video last week. I reposted a video last night about CBDCs on the XRP ledger. This here talks about what the paper suggests. Navin Gupta said this. India is currently at a regulatory crossroads where one path leads to responsible innovation, leveraging blockchain technologies with digital assets, and another where players hesitate to adopt game-changing technology. And this is just a bit about just some suggestions that Ripple have for Indian policies. But the point is that, again, India are helping write policy, Ripple are helping write policies for India. Last and most interestingly, this is my most interesting point. I really think you should hone in on this, guys, if you're new to this, is the announcement of Ripple's partnership with the country of Bhutan. Bhutan's currency, the Ngultram, is tied 1-to-1 to the rupee, the national currency of India, but the rupee is also accepted in Bhutan. So that leaves me with an interesting thought. Why is Bhutan so interesting? Well, James Wallace explained on the Digital Euro podcast, they were looking to leverage the Ngultram CBDC to help wholesale, retail, and cross-border aspects of their economy. It becomes even more interesting when we realise that Bhutan exports about 90%. 90% of Bhutan's exports are to India, and 70% of their imports are from India. So the question is then, how will the digital Ngultram affect the India-Bhutan payment flow? What I'm basically saying there is, how can India pay Bhutan if Bhutan have a digital currency and India don't? That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. So one final thought is timing. When could this happen? Well, as quoted above, India is testing their digital currency as we speak, and they're looking to potentially roll out by the end of the year. This looks similar to Bhutan, who have quoted in Ripple's release when it was their partnership, basically saying that they want to accelerate financial inclusion in Bhutan by 85% in 2023 through the CBDC. So that means that it should be out by 2023, and we're towards the end of 2022 now. So it makes sense to be using the XRP ledger. XRP is a neutral bridge asset, and that's basically all my thoughts on this topic. I know that my dictation wasn't great. It's quite late here in the evening, and next door kept saying stuff, and that was putting me off. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I'm hoping that you guys can't hear it. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please drop a sub, share it with a friend, and hit the like button. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, please get over there and follow and give that a retweet and show me some love. I really appreciate that. Peace up, A-Town down. It took me all day to do, so I hope you enjoyed.